So good morning everyone on this wet and miserable day. So just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you for such lovely comments on our videos and such a warm welcome back into the sort of YouTube fraternity. We're very touched by it, and I've got a few questions that I think are quite repetitive on the comment section, so it'd be a lovely idea to see if we can take a little time just to reply to some of those. The first thing, the most important thing, is we do read all the comments, and we haven't had time yet to reply to every single one, but we want you to know that your comments are not lost, and they are very well warmly received. This barn has actually got some plans for conversion already drawn up by the previous owners. It's not something we're going to use the space, we're going to enjoy the space, but it's not something that we are going to do just now. Now, I did touch on the movement in the barn and the cracks that I'm dealing with, and you're absolutely right, those of you that have said, look, we probably need to look at underpinning, we probably need to look at more stability issues. You're absolutely right, I'm totally on board with that, but in terms of spending our money wisely, the decision that I'd like to make is to deal with the water first, get the water away from the barn so it's no longer falling and eroding probably what poor foundations exist, whether they're clay or they exist at all. But the most important thing is to get the water away. So that's the job that we're going to do this in this part of the project. And also we want to re-render. Now, not only will that make it look pretty, but repointing and so on, it'll also stabilize any more movement. See, for instance, there, you know, the rock will actually, the stone will come out of those gaps now that's all been eroded. So we need to deal with that first. And the benefit of completely repointing means that the whole barn then becomes a telltale for me. So I can tell whether there's any movement by fresh cracks in the fresh render and pointing. Then I'll know that movement is still taking place, even though we've put water drainage on and we're getting the water away and it's been weather protected. I'll know then that this corner or this elevation or this side is moving, so I can deal with the underpinning if necessary then. Here we go. So this end of the barn, look at those guys. That is the project that I'm dreading, because I hate heights. It doesn't look very high to most people, but to me is very high, and I've got to build those doors in location, which is why I wanted to do all the other ones first to get my skills up. So yes, so that's the last set that needs to be done. Here we have an Arbry, sort of French wooden tongue and groove chalet. There's a bit of a story behind that, which we'll tell you when we start the project. That was used by the previous owners who lived in there while they rented out their house to make some income. And then we have the cavernous barn. The most important thing, no light coming through. The barn is good. It's got those cement fiber tiles. They're not asbestos, cement fiber, and you know, no sunlight coming through at all, which is great. Here is our GP sheep, and then this is the doors that we need to get done. Actually, these are probably the better of all of the doors that we've done so far, hence why I've done these last. It's got some nice door furniture on, so we'll reuse these. And earlier on I mentioned about those hinges. These are the hinges that are on all the other doors, which is why when I brought those plate hinges in for the other doors, I've mounted them on the inside to keep the exteriors looking all the same. thank you very much for all of the advice on the lake. And this is an area that both Anna and I, we don't have the experience with, especially dealing with water of that scale. And so the idea to put some sort of movement in there by putting a pump or an aerator in is something we're definitely going to look at. Somewhere in all the boxes of stuff that I've got, I've got a big pump somewhere, a pool pump, a spare pool pump, so I might be able to adapt that, make a water feature somehow. But getting water moving is what universally is being advised, and I think that's cracking advice, and we'll definitely follow that. So this is Charlie. We're going up to the post box. And you can see he's got a slight fault. It looks like he's been drinking, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's very happy by, and he has he's improved. He's improved.
Yeah.
Obviously, his muscles need to keep working so they don't deteriorate.
Hey, honey. Oh, I missed him.
We're zooming past you.
Obviously, we're going to reuse these hinges. The challenge has always been that these bolts are all rusted, so I will try with a socket, but I expect I'm going to have to grind those off. Well, nice. Put some Chris's in there. Work our way. Really long nails. It's completely unnecessary. I wish they'd used screws. He's all wet, look, isn't he? Look, you can spike his hair up like he's back in the 80s. Tom. Come on.
Is this door being mended?
This one is, the only thing I'm saving is this strut and the one at the top, this one. I'm going to remake the bottom one because it's a bit rough, and save the hinges. So last set of small double leaf doors. Promise. So unfortunately the bolts aren't coming undone. They're all rusted in on the hinges. All that happens is the head just turns the other side. And because they're Colts bolts, you can't get hold of the head, so I've just got to grind them off. I wanted to show you this. This is the catch. I'll put my gloves on because I don't want to get dirty. This is the catch that goes, let me simulate it, would go flush up against. You drive in a little nail there. It's been handmade. And then this comes down and engages, so it would lift up and then drop down. But I just wanted to show that's been forged by hand. The little tang there that once you've driven, you just basically drive that in like a big nail. That's driven into the wood, and then once it's in all the way, it was nailed, but I'll put a little screw in there down. Isn't that beautiful? Well, not beautiful, but just nice. We'll reuse that. Okay, quick update. We've got the first leaf put together, which is going to be looking out of the barn, the left-hand leaf. And I just wanted to show you, we're just putting the bracing in. I couldn't use, by the way, I was going to use the original bracing, but one half of it was worse off on the other leaf than the first one. So I want it all to match. So just using some pressure treated softwood instead. I just wanted to show you a little trick. I'm just going to neaten these frames up a little bit by putting a chamfer down each side here, and rather than doing it with a manual plane, this is one of my trusty electric planes. I don't know if you can see, this is called the shoe here, and you can raise and lower this shoe depending on how much cut you want the blade to get into. So the higher into the tool this shoe goes, the more blade that's exposed, the deeper the plane. But not many people realise that on the shoe there's two little bevels. Do you see that? And that's brilliant, because what that does is it allows you to put, get a piece of timber, I'll show you. It allows you, this is a square cut piece of timber, and what we want to do is just neaten down the sides here, just neaten down these edges. So you can see there's two different sizes here, one slightly deeper than the other. And what you do is that you run that shoe, the groove fits perfectly down the side of the timber. So it allows you to do a lovely 45-degree cut. And the other one's a little bit more shallow. There's a bit more drift on that one, so I tend to use the deeper one. But it gives you a nice finish. I'll show you. I'll show you and see. You can see what I mean. Okay, so we've got these square, quite naff. It doesn't look very pretty. It doesn't really matter, but I just thought I'd tidy it up a little bit. So we just position the shoe in. Look at that. Just come in the other side. Position the shoe. There we go. I don't know if you can see that. Just gives it a nice, bit of a sand afterwards. It gives it a nice finish. So I just need to do the that strut now, which is a big length cut. Some of you eagle-eyed people have very rightly said, hang on a second, you're mounting those hinges on the doors on the wrong side. Surely they should be on the outside. And you're absolutely right. Normally, those style hinges, these are the long strap hinges that I've been using, it's normal to put those on the outside and for them to be seen. Now, the only reason I didn't mount them on the outside is because the existing doors that were still hung on the barn had hinges on the inside, big wrought iron hinges on the inside, and so I wanted the outside of the barn to look consistent and for all the hinges to look the same, a nice clean line. So you're right, but hopefully that explains why I made that decision. So I've just had to stop working on the doors, and I've got some ladders in a fireman fashion. Anna's shouted over that Brambles has got stuck up a tree. How did he get up this high?
He ran up.
Come on. Done. Okay, there we go. So one pair done. Let's go fit them. So what I tend to do is get it in the opening, square it up, So it's true, not that anything is square in the barn, but at least the boards are vertical. And then I offer up the hinge, and we'll just square that hinge off, just so we know it's hanging right. So it needs to be hanging there. And then I can just mark. This strut is not in permanently, and that's because this hinge will obviously sit behind it. So what I need to do now is just take it into the workshop and just take out a channel at the back, big enough to accept this, this hinge. Okay, that's the hinges in. Just going to give it a swing now, see how it works. So I haven't put the brace in yet. I'm going to cut the channel out to accept the hinge. Okay, that's the packing out. That's good. Okay, so we've got that channel cut out, and hopefully that should fit, he says. Perfect. Now I've already pre-drilled top and bottom, so we keep that square, put those in, and then we'll put the others in after that. I can't do any more now because this right hand leaf, that needs about 0.5 centimetre taken off all the way on the end here on the centerpiece to give it a bit of movement. I found that with all the other doors that you can't have them as a tight fit because the wood will swell up and they won't close properly. The left one is done, so that's my reference point. And I don't know if you can see all the bolts are in there holding the strut in. The right hand side one needs levelling off properly. It needs that half inch or 1 centimetre and a bit taken off of that side, and then rehanging. So we're going to do that tomorrow because it's absolutely freezing cold and it's starting to rain, which is typical. Finally from me, very kind comments about my workmanship, but I can assure you I'm not a carpenter or a joiner, but I did have the benefit of my father was a shipwright and a carpenter, master carpenter in the dockyard. So as a young lad, I had great privilege in working with my father on a few projects. Never to his skill level, but I think the most important thing he taught me was just have a go, son. You know, if you want to do something, have a go and see how you get on. You've got nothing to lose, and that's kind of the policy that Anna and I now adopt. Is we don't have the money to bring in contractors, so we'll learn and we'll do it the best we can. This isn't a chore so much as a nice excuse to have an open fire, isn't it? Because you've got true, and we've got central heating here, which is wonderful. It's oil-fired central heating, and in a later project we're going to convert the boiler room into some more usable space. So just to give us a bit of localized heat and to enhance it, we've got an open.
It's very cold today.
And it is very cold, in the minuses today. So we're taking the strange decision to light the open fire. So we're just going to show you what that looks like. Very dry. There we go, a roaring fire. All the dampers are opened up actually, so it's got a good airflow through, so we can close that down in just a second. Now it's got a good hold. But I think that fireplace is around 10 kilowatts. So it chucks out an enormous amount of heat. And at the moment, even though it's been really cold here, we haven't had to light the other fire. We've got another fire at the other end of this salon, but we haven't had to light that one up yet. So all being well, we'll be nice and snuggly today, won't we, honey?
See if it comes off like.
Wow.
The pond is frozen apart from that bit where the ducks are. The ducks are happy. I've come outside in the freezing cold. We've got to put the trailer on the car.
That's exciting. Now why, you might ask?
We're going to Limoges.
We're going to, well, just off Limoges, isn't it? A town nearby, because, you know, sometimes things are too good to be true, aren't they? I have seen an advert on Facebook Marketplace. We've had mixed...
For a boy's toy.
Well, you say boy's toy, honey. I've always wanted, when I was young, I always wanted my poster on my wall of my bedroom was, and this is for the guys out there, a Honda MTX. They made a 125 and a 200. 200 was a bit odd because it never suited the learners. And once I'm helping with the rain nuts, honey. And once you pass your test, you didn't want a 200. You wanted to go bigger. But anyway, beautiful bike, 2-stroke trail bike. All been trashed now because they're 1980s, early 80s. So they've all been chopped about and put around farms and stuff and ruined. And this little time capsule has come up. Apparently it's got a problem with the gearbox, but it's had a new head, new barrel, new piston, conrod, small ends, main bearings. The engine seems from the advert.
Sorry, over our heads some of us are. That
Yeah,
wasn't
okay,
it?
it's probably boring. Anyway, the weird thing about it, right, is Miss Anna in her youth had the MTX 125. Can you believe? I can't believe that. When we met years ago, we were talking about it, and she said, "Oh yeah, I had trail bikes." She goes, "Yeah, I had an MTX." I said, "Shut up! You did not have an MTX."
And then I showed him the photograph.
In red, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This one's in white and red.
Mine was in red and black.
Wasn't
it? Yeah, red and
Yeah.
black.
So what we're going to do, we're going to take the trailer in anticipation that it might be all right. You never know with Facebook Marketplace. You turn up and it's like a push bike.
Or what's happened before? We've gone there and it's sold. It's just gone.
Oh, I did not want to tell you, but it's sold the first person.
They do know we're coming. They do know we're coming.
So, and the woman's name is a woman seller, and her name is Hazel, which I don't know is that a French name? Hazel? Hazel? Hazel?
Could be.
So anyway, we're going to hitch the trailer up, hitch the ramps up and the straps, just in case, and take a trip out in a short while. But Anna hasn't seen the workshop door that we did yesterday. Have you, honey?
Nope.
So it's just the same as all the others. She's going to say, yeah, it's a door, like all the others.
Oh, I don't say that, you cheeky so and so. Oh, look, it's just a door.
It's like all the others. God, it looks wet. Is it wet, honey?
No, it's not wet. No.
Yeah. Looks a bit of a mess. We need to get some undercoat.
Smells good. I can still smell it. It smells like it's just been cut.
That wood, when I was cutting some of that wood yesterday, smelled beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, sorry, what have we done with it?
Ça marche pas. Autopilot, ouais.
So peut-être.
Le carbu.
Ouais.
It was just running.
Bloqué.
We've missed it. I missed recording it. I didn't get here quick enough.
Une autre fois.
Ok.
So this is it. The MTX. A dream bike of mine when I was a teenager. Now finally I have one. I particularly like it because it's unmolested. Normally with these sort of bikes, things like the indicators are taken off and things have been chopped. The rear mudguard is a common one. I'm not sure if that's had the bottom bit removed, but the only thing I can see that's changed is the indicators on the back here have been changed to these non-stock ones, aftermarket. Other than that, it's completely original, but the price reflected the fact it's got issues. So the gearbox, they've run it without oil, and the gearbox has got a problem. It doesn't engage first gear. And actually when I was bumping it, the clutch wasn't disengaging. So we need to have a good look around the gearbox. And it doesn't, I got it started just with some starter spray.
Go on.
Peut-être il y a problème avec l'essence ou problème avec... comment est-ce que c'est dit ça en français?
Le carburateur.
Le carburateur, c'est la même chose en anglais.
Ouais.